We are still on the quest of uncovering ancient secrets. The Macedonian language of the Rosetta Stone. In the world of ancient mysteries, few discoveries have shaken the foundation of what we thought we knew, more than the work of two Macedonian scholars, Aristotle Tentov and Tome Boshevski. While many know the Rosetta Stone as a tool for deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs, these two Macedonian academics unearthed something truly groundbreaking. Through their research, they revealed that the middle text of the Rosetta Stone, long thought to be Egyptian, is actually written in an ancient Macedonian Slavyan language. Yes, you heard that right, Macedonian Slavyan. Now, for most of us, the Rosetta Stone is synonymous with Egypt and the deciphering of hieroglyphs. It's a symbol of historical breakthrough, but Tentov and Boshevski's findings have pushed the boundaries of history even further. What we've learned from their research challenges not only the identity of the ancient Macedonians, but the true cultural identity of the Slavian world. To fully grasp the significance of this revelation, let's take a moment to understand the artifact itself. The Rosetta Stone, created during the reign of the Macedonian Ptolemaic dynasty, features three scripts: Egyptian hieroglyphs, the so-called Demotic, and Koine or Greek anachronistically. This third script, Koine, is the one that allowed scholars like Jean-François Champollion to crack the code of Egyptian hieroglyphs. But what if, as Tentov and Boshevski argued, the middle text wasn't Egyptian at all? What if it was an entirely different language, a language that had long been overlooked? For centuries, historians assumed that the Macedonian Empire, despite its reach and military might, didn't have a written language of its own. This was partly because the Macedonian rulers of Egypt, the Ptolemies, choose to communicate in Koine Greek, or so we thought. According to mainstream belief, the Macedonians must not have had their own language or script. They simply adopted a language of their empire's educated class, right? Well, Tentov and Boshevski, through years of meticulous research, suggested a different possibility. They reminded us that any conqueror, once they took control of a territory, would establish their own language and script as the official one. We see this in many instances of history. Take the British Empire, for example. The British didn't learn the languages of their colonies like India. Instead, they imposed English as their language of governance. So why wouldn't the Macedonians do the same when they ruled Egypt and other places? This, among other things, like the inconsistencies of mainstream reading of the middle text of the Rosetta Stone, led Tentov and Boshevski to explore the middle text of the Rosetta Stone with a fresh, unbiased perspective, free from assumptions. What made this so difficult was that the text had no punctuation, no capital letters, just raw symbols to decode. Now, fortunately, Tentov and Boshevski were engineers by trade. They didn't approach the problem as linguists might, but rather as problem solvers using a method known in engineering as reverse engineering. They applied well-established methodologies from their field to systematically break down the unknown script. And then, step by step, the breakthrough came. What they discovered was astonishing. The script was a syllabic system, read from right to left, with a unique blend of pictographs, ligatures, and consonant-vowel combinations. In other words, the signs weren't just symbols, they represented sounds, much like our modern alphabets. In fact, many of the symbols were strikingly similar to letters from the modern Macedonian language and other languages. Tentov and Boshevski divided the script into three categories based on the shape and orientation of the symbols. So we have asymmetrical signs, symmetrical signs, and inclined signs. Each of these categories indicated a different consonant-vowel combination. The process of figuring out the exact sounds behind the symbols was a massive undertaking, but the consonant position was used to attach a certain vowel to it and give it sound, which the two scholars later unlocked their meanings. They discovered that each symbol carrying a consonant could be assigned a corresponding sound from the modern Macedonian alphabet. Consonants like J, R, L, V, E, Ch, O, and I appeared, often preserving their form in the ancient script. Even more fascinating was the fact that there were many signs that appeared to have close counterparts in the modern Macedonian language. The relationship between symbols such as S, C, Ch, Sh, K, K, L, L, N, N, and others indicated that these signs likely shared similar vocalizations in this script that was examined. This meant that once the vocalization of one symbol was understood, the others that resemble it could easily be decoded. Next, the academics turned their attention to the ligatures. The combined signs that overlapped each other were ligatures. In the same way that modern languages might combine words or letters to form new sounds, the ligatures of the Rosetta Stone created a vocalized word. They identified a common word that translated to the Macedonian word na, meaning on or to, because a ligature is nothing but a couple of symbols, one on top of another. This clue helped them decipher other overlapping symbols and further confirm their growing understanding of the language. As they worked through this wiring of sound business, Tentov and Boshevski reached the pivotal point, the moment of truth. The first words in the ancient language began to emerge. The text started making sense, and soon phrases emerged that could be understood by anyone familiar with modern Macedonian and many other Slavian languages, for that matter. Words, grammatical structures, and even phrases that are still in use today in the Slavian world began to come to light. For example, consider the following phrase from the ancient Macedonian text on the Rosetta Stone. You might want to sit down for this. Jednako v kevoni na vevetoni na naj vevetoni na kokeve bogomoj javi bude naši navezene na loze v vši najnadzejmenca najževenu toj bogomodivejej opotol naši tjajemo na zeven nanze na džupacave. Reading it, you would immediately recognize it holds many similarities to modern Macedonian. In fact, the content that emerged from the text had an uncanny resemblance to the Koine Greek content and the hieroglyphic. Yet, there was one major difference. This middle text contained additional details and information that weren't found in the other two texts. This was a revelation that was both thrilling and mysterious. The most significant piece of the puzzle was what the text revealed about the Macedonian rulers' understanding of the world around them. The text describes a cosmic order connecting the Macedonian gods, their Egyptian counterparts, and the divine connection between the two. It provides insight into how Macedonian rulers used both divine and political authority to rule their empire. Through this deciphering, Tentov and Boshevski discovered the ancient Macedonian system of naming cities, nations, and gods. It detailed how the Macedonians structured their priesthoods and how they viewed the gods from neighboring cultures. There were connections between Macedonian gods like Amon, which is Ve in Macedonian, and the Egyptian gods, which were explored in detail. In fact, the decoded language not only mirrored the content of the other two texts of the Rosetta Stone, but it also shed new light on the Macedonian view of the world. The connections between Macedonian culture and the Egyptian pantheon were more deeply intertwined than we ever realized. What Tentov and Boshevski had uncovered was much more than just a simple translation. It was a revelation of the true, long-forgotten roots of the Macedonian Empire. It was a discovery that proved the Macedonians weren't just conquerors. They were the bearers of a rich, sophisticated culture that reached beyond military might and touched the very fabric of the ancient world's spiritual and social life. In our next videos, we'll continue to explore how this ancient Macedonian script shaped the way cities were named, how religions were interwoven, and how the Macedonian Empire cemented its legacy in ways we never could have imagined. Better hit that subscribe and like buttons and stick around.